to be what topic is so that you can find it and access it in your notebook. So let's talk about integers. Integers are part of this giant umbrella called rational numbers, okay? So you might not be familiar with the term rational, and we're gonna dig deeper in that next week. But you do know what an integer is, right? Give me an example of an integer. Numbers like 10. Negative 10. What about 0? 0's good. Where can I show people integers? On a number line. Do they stop? No. What symbol shows me that they never stop? Infinity, which looks like a sideways 8. See, y'all getting it back on target. What symbol on a number line shows me that they never end? The arrows do. So all of that is the basics of where we're going. So our job right now is to be able to do all 4 operations of integers perfectly the first time. So let's talk about the first operation, which is adding. And write this in your notebook because I'm kind of redoing that with you. So when we're adding integers on a number line, we know what we're doing. We're moving and we're figuring out how many spaces on the number line. But you need a quick, easy way. I'm giving you the super quick way to get this. And that is to ask 2 questions. So when you come across an integer problem that you have to add, you ask yourself 2 questions. The first question is, what do I have more of? And the second question you ask is how much more? Now, what do I mean by what do I have more of? I mean positives or negatives. So we're going to see some examples. Okay. So, I wish this would work. I'm so sorry. Hold on. Let me see if it'll even come back on, because this would help y'all. See if it comes back on. It's been going to sleep, and so I need to figure that out today on the computer as well. I don't know why it's going to sleep. Well, this is our like practice video, right? Because I'm trying to get everything to work. Okay, so this is what you wrote in your notebook, right? So now here are samples. So the first thing is I look at this one and I say to myself, what do I have more of, positives or negatives? Play along with me because you should know what 4 plus 2 already is. But what do I have more of? Positives. How many more? 6. They're all positive. Look at the second one. What do I have more of? Negative. How many more? 2. Look at that one again to get it right in your brain. You have 4 negatives and 2 positives. So you have more negatives. How many more? 2 more. There's your answer. See, the 2 questions, they make your brain pick the right sign and do the right math to get the right answer. Okay? Look at the next one. First of all, why is this in parentheses? Okay, yeah, the signs you can't have this. This looks goofy. So the negative kind of is held in place by the parentheses. Okay, what do I have more of? Positive. How many more? See how quick you're getting it now? Look at the next one. What do I have more of? All negatives. How many? 20. See how it makes you go fast? The idea is that you can do it in your head. Okay, so now we're going to go to the tough one, which is subtracting integers. And I know that back when you learned it, this was the one that gave you problems because you never know if it's supposed to be negative or positive. So I'm going to break it down as easy as I can. So you're going to title that subtracting. For those of you that like markers and colors and stuff on your notes, that's why I put the markers in the basket. Just know that they're there if you want them. So for subtracting integers, you do two things. The first is you turn it into an addition problem. So you do that by doing keep, change, change. Not keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip is fractions. Keep, change, change, if you have another saying, that's fine, is how you change it to addition. Then ask the two questions. Okay, so I'm going to show you some problems. If you want to write them, I don't want that one. Okay. Okay, so look at the first one. I'm going to keep, change, change. So I'm going to keep the 4. I'm going to change the negative to positive, and I'm going to change the 1 to a negative. Now I ask the two questions. What do I have more of? How many more?
3.
See? I don't do this for fun. I don't do this to just make life easier, even though it does. I do this so that whenever you come across one, you have a method to do it so that you get it correct each and every time on hard problems. Look at this one. Keep, change, change. What do I have more of? How many?
7.
Done. Now let me show you Blanchard's way, because I do it even faster. I just mark the problem. Ready? Keep, change, change. What do I have more of? Negative. How many? 3. Because I have 7 positives and 3 negatives. The last one, ready? Keep, change, change. What do I have more of? How many? 8. So it's a quick, easy way for you to check your integers so that you're not getting it wrong on harder problems. You have to be able to do this in your head. So you got to practice it, right? Because it's been a while since you did it and you're rusty. Which is why you got to do it over the weekend, because I don't have time next week to teach you and go over this. This is 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade work. But is it important? Yes. You cannot do any of my math without knowing this perfectly, because you will continuously get problems wrong if the negative is not supposed to be there. Now, the easy one is multiplying and dividing, and they do the same thing. So for multiplying and dividing, I generally just put them together. So for multiplying and dividing, I do 2 things. The first thing I do is I multiply or divide. How do I know that? The operation symbol. It tells me, do I add, subtract, multiply, or divide? So the first thing I do is the math. I do the math. Then the second thing I do is I choose my sign. See, I'm teaching you it from an algebra perspective. You should already know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. I'm teaching you now, what do you do in a quick scenario when you need it right? So let's talk about choosing the sign. If you are adding 2 positive numbers, if you're multiplying 2 positive numbers, what's your answer going to be? Positive. If you are multiplying 2 negative numbers, your answer is going to be? So what you're telling me is if the same sign, it is positive. Now, if it's a negative and a positive being multiplied, Your answer is negative. So different sign is negative. So if we do a couple of problems to get this correct, let's look at the first example. I'll give you a second to finish copying it because we're running out of class time. While you're finishing, your homework is going to be a mixed review of just doing these type of problems. So use your notebook to make sure you practice it, and you want to get 90% of the problems correct. You don't have to do the whole thing, but I would assume you probably are, because some of the questions are very easy. Okay, they go quick. Like I think in 3 minutes they did the first half of the first page side, because it's very easy. All right, so here we go with the examples. Do the math. 24. Signs are different. Answer, negative. Do the math. 6. Signs are same, positive. 2 negatives. Negative 30 divided by negative 5. 2 negatives make a positive because the signs are the same. Okay? Look at this one. I call these train problems. You know what I do? I do multiplying first. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. These two become positive. These two become negative. A negative and a positive give me a negative. And there it is. Again, these become positive. Positive and a negative become negative. A negative and a positive become negative. You have an odd number of negatives. What does that tell you? It's a negative.